Welcome back to the Hopeful Connection. I'm Staci Owen, one of the co-hosts for the podcast. I have Aaron Harms sitting down with me today to talk about everything medical ISL, behaviors, host homes, you name it. You've done it at Restoring Hope. So I just want to lean into your experience to be able to learn from you and share that with others.
Yes, thank you for having me today. Since I've joined Restoring Hope, I've wore many hats, which has been great. That's kind of how I'm built. I'm not built for one thing for too long. I'm a little sporadic.
Yeah,
but that's okay. It gives me the chance to learn and grow myself. But since I've come to Restoring Hope, like you said, I've done host homes, the medical ISL, the training stuff. It's all been fun.
Yeah. So you've been here about 8 years. You started, what would that be, in 2017, 2018?
18, I believe.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So started in 18. Your experience prior to coming to Restoring Hope, you were on the mental health side. Tell me a little bit about your experience prior to coming into Restoring Hope.
Yes, before coming in Restoring Hope, I worked with at-risk youth. So kids with severe mental health diagnoses, I would help them kind of navigate day-to-day life. And then hopefully to build a better future despite kind of what's been thrown their direction in the form of a mental health diagnosis. And so that was my gig, and that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of good that we were doing. Despite some of the challenges and things, it was a great and fantastic learning experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So transitioning into Restoring Hope, you obviously brought a lot of that experience on the mental health side, the adolescent side. And I know you were our first male program manager. And so we threw you into a lot of our male teens that were dealing with a lot of different dynamics that you had tons of experience dealing with. So getting started into that at Restoring Hope, what was that experience like coming from where you had been on the mental health side?
It was a little bit of a transition. It was the first go that I've really had with developmental disability side of DMH instead of just the mental health side. And so that piece took me a minute to kind of get my feet wet and get my traction. Once I was able to do that, it was a lot of fun. It was eye-opening in the fact that a lot of those individuals do have dual diagnoses. So you're looking at not only mental health diagnoses, but also the DD side of things.
Mm-hmm.
And so using my experience to be able to help those individuals kind of navigate the things that have been thrown their way. That's where I probably find my most joy, is making sure they're able to live their best life, so to speak, and overcome those obstacles that kind of stand in their way.
Yeah. So for our listeners, a lot of them being host homes or potentially homes coming on board, DSPs, other managers, a lot of them have probably seen you through more of the behavioral side. So you are on the behavioral team. You're one of our MANT trainers. Give me kind of just your background in that, and really what your passion is for that side or that hat of Restoring Hope that you wear.
Bringing in new people to experience Restoring Hope and to experience individuals that we serve is phenomenal. It's something that I absolutely love. A lot of people come in apprehensive or scared. It's unknown. It's not something that's in the public eye a whole lot. And so when they come in apprehensive, that's when I know they're coming in for the right reasons. And that's a lot of fun to me too. Whenever I get to do those MANT trainings or some of the other fun videos that we do, it really kind of shows the human side of it. Yep. And I hope that they're able to make those connections with the individuals that we serve to humanize those things and to, just bring it to the forefront. Our individuals are no longer hidden like they were, years ago.
Yeah.
Which is phenomenal to me. That makes a difference. As far as the behavioral side of things, it's always challenging. I don't know that we'll ever curb behaviors. It's human nature.
Yep.
It really is. When it comes to navigating some of those behaviors, I really have to praise our DSPs and our host homes. Restoring Hope is one of those agencies that we don't necessarily use restraint like some of the others do.
Right.
Which is not a feather in my cap by any means. It's a feather in the cap of our host homes, of our DSPs. They're putting in the hard work ahead of time So that way you don't get to those points.
Yep.
They're building relationships. They are doing the things they need to be doing in order to have that positive impact with those individuals. So we don't have a need for restraint. I can't take credit for that. That's the work of our host homes and our DSPs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that, like you said, that preparation and that hard work up front keeps us out of a lot of those situations. So for DSPs that are experiencing it maybe for the first time, host homes that are new to this, what advice do you give them, in regard to working through some of those challenging behaviors?
Weather the storm. Our individuals will not trust you with their best until they know you can handle their worst. Mm-hmm. Most of our individuals have been given up on in life. A lot of their former settings, the first sign of a behavior, they've been kind of dismissed. So weather that initial storm. There will be a honeymoon period where everything's wonderful. Mm-hmm. Then you're going to have to weather that storm. Once you get on the other side of that storm, you'll have a bond with that individual that is unbreakable. It is one of those experiences that you just have to go through to really know how that feels. But once you have that bond built with them, once you've been through the trenches, once you've been through some of those rough times, it really makes a world of difference on the other side. So weather the storm early, reach out to your manager, reach out to us for any support you may need in the meantime. But ultimately, it will build a lasting relationship.
Yeah. And I think we talk about it, the longer you're in the field, we talk about the honeymoon phase. Sometimes it gives a false sense of success really early in a placement or in a setting. What is that honeymoon phase like? How long does it last? What does it look like? And then when are we really seeing signs of, okay, well, the honeymoon phase is over with. Now we're dealing with the stuff to get on the other side of it.
If we're lucky, it's going to last 60 days. That's kind of the mean or the middle ground there. Sometimes it might only last a couple of days, depending on the individual. But that honeymoon period, the way I like to describe it to folks is think of it as a first date. When you go on your first date with somebody, you don't show them your bad habits. You don't show them all the things that they might not like about you, that you want them to like you.
Yep. And
our individuals feel the same way. When they show up, they want you to like them. They're not going to show you their bad habits or the terrible things that they, have done in their past even, which may or may not be relevant to who they are now.
Yep. Or even accurate.
Exactly. And so think of that as that first date. And then once they feel comfortable, that's when you're going to start to see some behaviors that are going to test the waters. Once they start testing the waters, you may see an escalation, you may not, depending on that individual. But that honeymoon phase is quite wonderful. Please don't change meds or do anything drastic in that first 30 to 60 days because the wheels will probably fall off to a certain degree.
Yep.
After that, weather that storm, you're going to build a relationship afterwards that's life-changing.
Yeah. And I think that with our individuals, it's no different than any other relationship that you have. You have the new and exciting, which is kind of that honeymoon phase. We're not, we're not unveil, there's no curtain yet to show the bad habits and the non-desirable things. It takes a minute. Yes. And I know one thing we talk about, even on the program manager side, that you have to go through some hard things to really get on the other side of that. So many of our individuals, they have had abandonment, they've had change, they've had transition when they've shown those bad habits and those, how those crisis situations or escalation. What encouragement or advice do you have for staff, host homes, when they're in the middle of it? They're going through some hard things.
They have to remember their why. The why is a big thing. I have a sticker on my laptop. Remember your why. So that way when my hard days, it kind of gives me that reminder. Remember your why. The whole reason you're doing this in the first place. The reasoning behind taking someone into your home or coming to work as a DSP and working with these individuals. It's a calling. It's not just a 9-to-5 job. It's not just another paycheck. And so remembering that why really, really helps me. It kind of builds me up. But as far as advice, you have a whole team behind you. Restoring Hope is built on a team. You're never going through it alone. There's always someone there to reach out to, especially in those overwhelming moments. Nobody wants to go through that alone. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. Great advice. One thing that I know you as one of the MANT trainers and the other MANT trainers, and then several other coordinators and managers, you guys have formed a behavior team within Restoring Hope. And you guys really look at some of the most challenging behaviors that our homes and employees are dealing with, to really dig into what's going on, what's behind it, looking at the individual, maybe historically, where they're at currently. Are there environmental factors? Are there, medical factors? You guys are really doing a good job of taking your guys' experiences and really wrapping it around what's going on to give some feedback and advice for those teams. Where did that come from, and where do you see the behavioral team going?
The behavioral team, it sprung up as a need. We knew that some of our host homes, some of our DSPs, and even some of our managers were going through some tough times, and they really weren't sure how to navigate that. And so the behavior team was formed just to give them somewhere to go with that information, and also to bounce ideas off of other people that may have experienced that in the past. They may have experience with it from their educational background. It just really depends. We have a plethora of people that come from many walks of life on the behavior team, it's huge. There might be an individual with a case that I have no idea how to help these folks, but Scott will step in, and with Scott's background, he's phenomenal at some of those things. Amber will step in. There's a whole group of people that's there just to help, just to be a sounding board, just to throw out ideas. So that way nobody has to feel alone during those hard moments, because that's where the true relationships are built. Yeah. You go through those hard times, you get on the other side, that's where those relationships start to blossom, so to speak. And so for us, we want to make sure that we're getting past those hard times and we're not giving up on them too soon, or not weathering that storm. We're not, we're giving them the benefit of the doubt that this can work, that this can be a lasting relationship. As far as where it's going, I'm not really sure. It's morphing, it's changing. We started off doing some training videos where we'd show some junk behaviors, or, we'd kind of talk about some of the stuff behind the scenes of MANT, like the ABCs of behavior, antecedent behavior consequence. We've done videos on that. Just as a soundboard, is something somebody can go to maybe pick up some pointers if they're feeling lost. But as far as where it's going, I'm not sure. I'm excited to see where it's going. Yeah. I'm hopeful to continue to provide some of that support for our families, our individuals, and to Restoring Hope in general, to make sure that, our individuals are served to the best of our ability. Yeah. It's all about the quality of care. I think
one of the other things with the behavioral team, when a manager and a family and a team is in the middle of it, it's hard to see out of it. And so it's hard to find solutions. It's hard to find things that haven't been tried, because you are drowning in whatever it is you're going through. And so I feel like the behavioral team is a great avenue, because they are on the outside of it. They can look at it from a factual standpoint and provide feedback. And with so many people having so many different backgrounds, I feel like it's what makes the behavioral team and really the management team of Restoring Hope so versatile in what the resources we are able to provide and what our experiences are. So I feel like the behavioral team is doing a really good job at being able to feed that outside perspective of trying different things, and really, offering some different avenues that they can't see in the moment on the inside.
Yeah, I would 100% agree. And that's something that you've kind of taught me over the years too, is when you're in the weeds, you really can't see what's going on. You can't get that bigger picture. And I think the behavior team kind of provides that aerial view. Yeah. Just a being able to pull away and not live in the weeds, so to speak. When you're in it, it's chaos. It's overwhelming and kind of hard to think outside the box. And so providing that aerial view really helps.
Yeah. And I think we've all been in it. When you're in it, it feels personal. The feelings are heavy. There's so many emotions. And I feel like the behavioral team can remove a lot of those layers to give some really black and white feedback, that we can do something with to hopefully support the family and employees, DSPs, and also support the individual.
Yeah, just being tactical and strategic in the way that we plan it and the way that we roll out some changes or make some recommendations as far as that team goes.
Yeah.
Can really help because, like you said, there's no emotion coming from us like there is the folks that are living in the weeds at that moment.
Right.
It's heavy. It's tough.
Yeah. So one of the main hats you wear at Restoring Hope is you are over a couple of medical ISLs. So really where that came from, we started those in the middle of COVID, mid to late 2020. And I know you've referenced it a few times on some different hats that you wear is there was a need. I feel like that same trend is how you kind of got into the medical ISLs. We identified a need. You like to wear different hats. You like to try new things. And you jumped in with both feet in the middle of COVID, starting medical programs. So tell me, gosh, we're 5.5 years in now. Yeah. Tell me what that experience has been like.
It's been a whirlwind. When I first jumped in, it was, I had no idea what I was doing, to be quite honest with you. It was all a learning experience to me. The need was medically fragile. At the time, kids really didn't have a place to go. Their facility was shutting down. They didn't have anywhere to go. And so for me, that's heartbreaking. Yeah. And so when that challenge was, you actually brought that challenge to me and said, what do you want to do? My first thought was, we got to do something. I didn't know what that would look like. Since then, we've put some kids and individuals into a home. So they're medically fragile ISLs. They get to live in a home, which is something that most of them have never experienced before.
Right.
They've lived facility to facility, or they've stayed in a bridge hospital, which, don't get me wrong, I don't want to knock those at all. There's absolute need for those. But at the end of the day, we wanted to give them something more, a bigger quality of life, a way to actually do things in life instead of just exist.
Yeah, belong in community.
Exactly. Give them a sense of family that they've kind of longed for. They deserve that. And so since that time, it's been chaotic. It's been crazy. I've learned so much. It's been an adventure. And I finally think that we're in a place where I can say we are probably one of the best providers when it comes to medically fragile individuals. That doesn't come easy. That doesn't come overnight. Yep. And it doesn't come without a huge team. And that's really what we have. I mean, there's no time where we are told no by anybody. If we need something, if we want something, there's no animosity as far as the programs go. It's congealed with the other programs that Restoring Hope has. So the day program folks stop by, the other managers stop by, our host homes are well versed in what we do. And so it's not an offshoot or a one-off. It's really part of Restoring Hope now, which is probably the one thing I'm most proud of. Yeah.
And you mentioned it, you didn't know what you didn't know. You were naive at the beginning. I think back, I'm so glad we were really naive, because we probably wouldn't have jumped in to do it if we would have known how intensive it was.
100%.
And all the challenges that were going to come with it. So I'm thankful we were naive, because we probably wouldn't have continued on the path. But looking back, just in the first 5.5 years, the amount of change that we've been able to see. I know the first day that we brought an individual home, I was pretty certain the nurse, the now lead, I thought you guys would move in. Like it's like, and I know you referenced it that day, like it's like we've brought a newborn baby home that we don't know how to take care of. And exactly. What are we doing?
There was no instruction manual.
Right.
It was scary. It was uncharted territory. It was something that I had never experienced in my life.
Yeah.
And so for me, that was the fun part of the challenge. But at the same time, it was probably one of the scarier things I've done in my career.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with violent behaviors, had nothing to do with anything like that. It was caring for someone who could not care for themselves. And I think that was probably the most vulnerable I've ever been in my career, as far as just not knowing
Yeah.
and trying to learn and trying to figure it out for myself and doing those those big things for them. To them it was probably laughable. I think the individual that brought home actually laughed at me a few times because I was so unsure of what to do. So looking back, those are fond memories. Those are great times for me. Honestly, they were scary in the moment, but now it's really fun to look back.
Yeah, I know that our relationship, as far as, you know, we worked together previously, you know, before coming into Restoring Hope, then we've worked together at Restoring Hope. I see you more as the expert in the behavioral, you know, the behavioral aspect, dealing with, you know, some of our more, you know, high needs teen boys, young adults. But for new managers that maybe haven't had as long a relationship and have known you prior to the medical ISLs, they see you as an expert on the medical side, which is great because you absolutely are now, but that took a lot of hard work and dedication on your part to get to that point.
It really honestly did. Like I said, it was probably one of the most vulnerable points in my career, you know, working with individuals, working with people. That was probably my most vulnerable. That was probably the biggest challenge I've been thrown, is trying to navigate that world, a world that I had never experienced.
Yeah.
And so it's been really fun. It's been a great time. I'm proud of going through that. I am proud of what has been built, and I honestly can't take credit for all of it. It literally took a team. There are things that came from the DSPs that changes were needed in those certain areas, or things were they needed done a different way, which is absolutely fine. And so I'm thankful I was a little naive in that, and that I was able to listen, and I wasn't stubborn. You know, no, this is the way we have to do it. And so I'm very thankful for the team that we have in the medical ISLs. It would not be as successful without them.
Yeah. So let's get into the team. So you're obviously a huge piece of that on the leadership side, but anybody that hangs around you very long, you give tons of credit to your nurse, your lead, your DSPs. One of the things that I look at and I'm amazed at, especially just in our line of work, and the demands that we put on the DSPs. We started the program 5.5 years ago, and you have several DSPs that are still with you in the programs that started with you from day one. Can you just talk about, you know, just your experience with the DSPs and leading that team in the medical ISL?
It takes a lot of dedication on their parts. It takes a lot of giving a part of yourself, is what the way that I like to put it with them. It's not your typical 9 to 5. It's not your I'm showing up for a paycheck kind of position. It is demanding, in more ways than one, emotionally, probably more than anything, because you're caring for folks that can't care for themselves. But it takes a lot of dedication, a whole lot of why, a whole lot of the reason that they're there. It's the culture that has been implanted into Restoring Hope that helps, that really grasps onto we're really looking at individuals. We're looking at people. We're not looking at numbers. We're not looking at anything other than quality of life for them, quality of employment for our folks, our DSPs. Big picture wise, they love what they do. We've taken big leaps in professionalizing the role of DSP. And prior to that, there was, even when we were first getting started, a lot of folks were questioning my sanity on why I wanted to do something like this. You know, oh gosh, you know, the DSP role is so overlooked. It was, I can't even put into words. We've taken huge steps in professionalizing that role, into really showing everybody that they are boots on the ground. They are the ones providing the care. They are the ones, your quality of care sits with them ultimately. So you have to have individuals that truly love what they do. They have a heart for our people. And at the end of the day, they're part of the Restoring Hope crew. Our managers know their names. Our of course, you know several of them personally, which makes a huge difference to them. And even our owners have met a few of them and kind of chatted with them. And so they feel a part of something bigger, which is huge.
Yeah. And I think that you've done a really good job. You continue to do a really good job of elevating that DSP role. Years ago when they changed the name to a DSP and put, professional behind it, I think that we missed a huge piece, just as an industry, we missed a huge piece of really elevating that role. They are asked to do so much in their role. They are professional writers in the logging piece of it. For our medical DSPs, they're doing a lot of medical hands-on interventions that require them to be, at a professional level day in and day out. And then we're expecting them to build relationships not only with the individuals they support, but also the individuals that they work alongside. So there's so many demands that we put on them because, like you said, they are ultimately who determines the quality of care that we see show up in our programs.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. Our medical DSPs, they go from pushing meds into G tubes to showering to even going on a simple outing to take them to Dollar General or to Walmart or anything like that. It requires a lot of prep, a lot of work. In the end, it's worth it though. Our direct support folks, they could say, "No, we're just going to stay at home because that's too much work," but they don't. Yeah. They take the extra mile. They go the extra mile to take them places, to do fun things, to really get out and explore and give them a quality of life that they're not used to. Yeah. Which is, to me, it's pretty amazing to see and to witness. And so I cannot thank them enough. Our individuals really can't thank them. Yeah. And so that's why sometimes it's hard to continue to give without some of that feedback. And so for us in the leadership roles, it's really important for us to make sure that we're continuously thanking them, showing them just what that role is worth. It's unfathomable the quality of life that they are giving these folks, as opposed to what they would in any other setting. Yeah.
And I think that you made a good point as far as the quality of life piece. I know one of the things that comes to mind is our regional pool party. That is a lot of work for every one of those DSPs to, get our individuals ready, bring them to the pool party, make sure all of them get to participate and swim. And then there's, changing involved and transportation, all of those things. And it is, all the DSPs are so bought into it. They're your team. It works so seamlessly. And again, that's a hard night for them. It's not just your typical routine that they're used to doing at home. But seeing, the pictures and the teamwork that goes into making those happen, is the why we get to do what we do. And, just the quality of life that, we get to provide, to the individuals that live in the programs.
No, exactly. And one of the wonderful things is I usually have people volunteering. They want to volunteer to go on those outings. They want to be the one to take them and have those hard days. They're volunteering to have a hard day. Yeah. To me, that shows their way. To me, that shows the reason that they're there, that they're pouring into them, which is, I can't thank them enough for doing that, for choosing a hard day. Yeah. Even when I'm having a tough day, I like to go to the ISLs and I will sit with our individuals or I will sit with our DSPs because they help to lift me up. They help me to refocus on my why. Yeah. So I encourage anybody that wants to come visit, stop by and visit. It really helps you kind of refocus and reshift your thought process if you are having one of those bad days.
Yeah. I know recently we had a snowstorm. Hopefully we don't have any more of those the rest of the year. But I think that it just is such a good reminder of how essential the work that our DSPs do. There's because the weather's bad, we get to lock the doors and go home. our DSPs are showing up day in and day out because we have individuals that have to have care, and they rely on us for that. So, you overseeing those programs and being involved in that, what type of challenge has that been, just in navigating, those more challenging situations?
It really is a challenge, and it's when inclement weather happens, or even around the holidays. Everybody wants to be with their families, and as far as an organization, Restoring Hope, we absolutely respect that, and we want what's best for our individuals and our DSPs as well. But at the end of the day, we're 24/7. We're open all the time. A snowstorm happens, and yes, it's very inconvenient. It's no fun. We want our folks to be safe on the roads. Like you said, we really can't close. We rely on those essential workers to be there and to really provide that care. Without them, our folks don't have anyone else.
Yeah.
And the same thing when it comes to the holidays. That's one thing that I've kind of noticed, and I really enjoy, is seeing which of our DSPs and things work so hard to make the holidays bright and to really brighten their spirits during those times, because we become their family.
Yeah.
One challenge that I make to them is, especially around the holidays or even when they're onboarding as a new employee, I said, one thing I want you to notice is how many interactions our individuals have with people that are not paid to interact with them. And a lot of times it's zero. Their CD worker, their guardian, the support coordinator, every DSP that comes in, the doctor that they have to go to, the school officials. Yep. Everybody is paid to be in their life. And so unlike us, we have a lot of people that interact with us. They're not paid to. They interact with us because they want to.
Yeah, have relationships.
And so that is a point that I try to drive home with them. And I think they've really taken that to heart, and they've ran with it. If you come around the holidays, the houses are decorated to it's crazy. I'm not even sure where it all comes from, to be quite honest with you.
Yep.
But they make sure to make the holidays special, and they make sure to make those days special for the kids. And it takes away from their family time sometimes around that. And for the majority of them, that's a sacrifice they are kind of happy to make, because they know they're doing more good in the world by being there for them. But as far as the snow days and things, those are always going to be challenging. The good thing that we have going right now is we have folks that are very dedicated to the care of our individuals. I had folks volunteering to stay. They're like, hey, blow me up a mattress. I will stay to make sure that we're covered, make sure these kids are taken care of. And that, to me, that means the world.
Absolutely.
That's huge.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned, as far as the holidays, I know, just seeing the houses, talking to a few of the individuals, the staff, they really do try to make it so special for them, whether it's presents, decorations, birthday cakes, whatever it is. And our DSPs know our individuals way better than anybody else does. And so they know the types of things they like, the types of things they don't like. And so, being able to create those, special memories for them is just so vital for just the quality of life piece.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if it wasn't for our dedicated DSPs, that those celebrations wouldn't be near what they are now. They truly make it special. There's times that I have no idea what they have planned.
Yeah.
And I'll kind of walk into a makeshift party, and everybody's having a great time. Our individuals, they're smiling, having a great time. And so it's honestly a lot of fun. It's kind of taken on a life of its own, and everybody has formed kind of a family alliance around our individuals, which is really cool to see.
Yeah. So I mentioned you have several OG DSPs that have been around a while. You've had some new ones that have joined along the way. A big piece of that is your leadership. What do you focus on to really bring in good quality DSPs that fit what you're looking for in those programs?
It's 100% the why. I've always kind of said I hire a heart. You can teach a skill. With the skills that they have, yes, they're pretty intense, so to speak, with lack of a better word there. But you have to have the heart first. Without the heart, the skills don't mean a whole lot. And so that's the very first thing that I look for as far as a new DSP coming in. The ones that have been around forever, they really didn't have much experience when it came to helping these individuals. I think we had maybe 2 that had prior experience. Other than that, everybody was just as fresh as I was. And so it's really about the heart, the why. The whole reason you applied for this position needs to be because you want to do something good in the world, not because you needed a paycheck. And I think that lends itself to a good quality program.
And I know you do a really good job through the onboarding process with making sure that employees know what the why of the program is and making sure that they align. So I feel like that's ultimately why the program can have a lot of success. And I think our DSPs that have been around and that are dedicated, they're your eyes and ears too. I know that some of them, they'll give you feedback super quick as far as, who are good fits, who they don't feel like are good fits, because they care so deeply about the quality of care, that the individuals are getting in that program.
Yeah, absolutely. They're not shy. They're absolutely not shy. And with a lot of our direct support folks, they help do some of that training. They help do a lot of the hands-on or shadowing and things like that. If they see a red flag, they're the first ones to say, but this is a red flag. I don't like this. And it's never it's never coming from a place of malice or a place of, I just don't like this person. It's always coming from a place of quality of care. That's what I think has been kind of special, is it is a family. And if we're going to bring someone new in, they need to make sure that quality of care is first. Everything else comes second. The skill set we can teach, the skill set we can really work on. But the quality of care has to be there. You have to want to get them out of bed to watch TV. You have to want to sing and dance and be a goofball, because nobody else is going to do that for them. So go be a goofball.
Yep.
Have fun at work. You bring the energy in that you would want brought into your house. That's crucial.
Which I think is such a unique position that, we're in with the medical ISLs is their home is our place of work. And so making sure that we're creating their home environment to be positive and upbeat and calm for what they're needing and wanting.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one thing that I've really tried to minimize the medical equipment. When you walk in, you wouldn't necessarily think this is a medical ISL, You wouldn't necessarily think these individuals are as medically fragile as they are. We try to do a really good job of hiding some of those things. That bookshelf that has an Xbox sitting on it, you might not see the adaptive controllers that are in the drawer. You might not see the standard that's in the corner that's being covered up by a basketball hoop.
Yep.
Different things like that, just to give them a sense of home. It's not a hospital. It's not a medical facility, so to speak. It is a home, and we need to make sure that we're maintaining that. And our DSPs bring that energy all the time. They know to drop their heavy stuff outside whenever they come in, because they want to bring that into their house.
It's great advice. As far as looking into 2026 and further for you, what do you see those hats being at Restoring Hope that maybe you're not wearing yet, that you have interest in starting or jumping into?
Honestly, I'm not even quite sure. I've always been the type that if somebody throws something my direction, I'm like, yeah, let's try it. Even if it sounds crazy or if it's something I've never done before, I'm always game to give it a shot. And so I think that's what I like most about Restoring Hope, is I have wore so many hats already. I've been here 8 years, but still a pretty short tenure. And so I have no idea what 2026 will look like. I'm excited to see what we do. We've grown so much since the early days. I was the only guy on the team, and now we've brought in some more, which is nice during those managers meetings and stuff. But gosh, I don't think I could even imagine what's next. Everybody's pretty imaginative. We see a need and we try to fill it, and I think that's what's exciting. It's never a venture about, hey, I think I think we can make money in this realm or anything like that. It's more of we see a need, so we're going to go fill that need.
Yeah.
And that's what's exciting. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning, is trying to navigate those and finding that next need and really working hard to fill it in the best way possible.
Yeah, I think that's a good point that sometimes I feel like it's been challenging to forecast what's next when we don't know what those needs are yet. And so when those needs arise, then we really jump on those opportunities to try to fill whatever those gaps are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one thing that, you and I have talked about for quite some time now is that children's division need, that gap between you're in children's division custody versus now you're an adult and they're going to, send you out into the world. A lot of times they end up unprepared and just not ready for that adult life. And I think that's been a big need. Some of that aftercare sort of stuff, some of the things that they learn how to navigate adult life. I was fortunate enough not to be in children's division custody when I was growing up, but navigating adult life was hard enough for me. So I can imagine some of the challenges they're facing. So that's always been a need that we've kind of seen. So I don't know if we're going to venture into that. I'm not sure. We'll see.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point as far as we really are looking at what those needs are. And that one's been on our radar. And, you said it earlier as far as that you look at, what are the interactions that our individuals have that are unpaid. A lot of kids that are transitioning out of foster care, they're no different.
Mm-hmm.
The interactions and the people that have been in their life are people that have been paid to be in those roles, whether it's, CD guardians, CASA workers, therapists, whoever those people are. When they transition out of having those paid supports, what does their life look like? And right now, I don't know that we have it figured out as a state, how to prepare them and wrap them around other supports to be successful, outside of state's custody.
Yeah, I would 100% agree. It's setting someone into the wild without any survival tools. And that's very unfortunate. That's a scary scenario for anyone, especially someone as vulnerable as a kid coming out of CD custody. They've had a hard go as it is. So sending them, out into the world without a survival kit is tough. I think providing them that survival kit is a huge need. Whether that's, us helping to fulfill that need or someone else. I'm excited to see kind of what that reform looks like. I'm excited to see kind of where that navigates to. I don't know. There's a bunch of needs out there, and I'm excited to kind of be a part of helping find them and helping find solutions, so to speak, even if I have to learn a lot, even if I am scared, even if I am, very vulnerable in those moments, it's always a challenge, and it's fun to me.
Me too. As far as wearing your leadership hat in the medical ISL programs, one of the things that comes with the DSP roles and the intense work that our DSPs are doing, what advice do you have, or what have you seen to try to keep DSPs, managers, employees, host homes kind of out of that burnout phase that I think we're really susceptible to in this line of work?
Absolutely. Burnout is probably the number one thing that worries me, that bothers me, that I try to make sure that we're not approaching with any of our DSPs. And when I've seen it, it's you can identify it fairly easily. The one piece of advice I would say is keep your ear to the ground. Stay active in the program itself. Listen. They're going to tell you without telling you. No one ever wants to admit burnout. That's a weakness to them. They don't want to say, "Hey, I'm struggling. Hey, I'm burnt out. Hey, I really didn't want to come to work today." Or no one wants to say those things, but they say it without saying it. So making sure you're paying attention, listening, following those trends on who's calling in, or if someone was previously volunteering for some of those things, they're no longer volunteering. That's usually a red flag. Like, hey, I probably need to have a chat with them, make sure they're okay, make sure they're doing well. lean on each other too. No one goes it alone. In our medical ISLs or, in our host homes, or anything, lean on each other. No one and trying to remember that even in the midst of some of the hardest things or some of that's your, as a manager or as a host home, if you're dealing with that 15th behavior that day, it's easy to burn out and be like, what am I doing? What have I gotten myself into? Lean on each other. Talk it through with somebody. They're willing to step in and help. They're willing to be there. It is a team effort. So don't ever try to go it alone. Communication is key. Make sure it's open. Never squash all the emotions that they have, and make sure that you're open and you're listening to their concerns. A lot of times, if they're experiencing burnout, it's kind of part of who they are. They want to push themselves. They want to make sure they're providing that quality of care, making sure they're not pouring from an empty cup. And there's times they need to refill their cup so that way they can continue to pour. And so just being active, staying in it, put your ear to the ground, listen, pay attention, follow the cues. But if you're experiencing burnout for yourself, make sure you're talking to someone about it. As far as a leader myself, I do not see that as weakness. I do not see that as a form of a character flaw or anything of the sorts. We are in a people business and it's hard.
Yep.
You can only give so much of yourself before it starts to take its toll. So make sure you're recharging your batteries, finding those things that help fill your cup so you can pour.
As a leader over the medical ISL programs, how do you recharge your batteries and make sure that you are staying fresh to be able to support those in your program?
During my time off, I like to spend a lot of time outdoors. I spend a lot of time with my family. Sports is huge in my house. And so sporting events, going hunting, going fishing, recentering myself into nature is kind of how I find my zen, so to speak, to make sure my cup isn't empty. But like I said, on those hard days where I think I am getting to burnout, when I think I am like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can, what time is it? Am I getting close to 5 o'clock or whatever? I will go sit with our individuals. I will sit with them. I will play a board game or a video game, or I will sit with our direct support professionals and really watch them in their roles. And that helps recharge my batteries. That gives me a fresh perspective of this is why. I need to take a step back and get out of the weeds, so to speak, and look at that big picture. Like this is the whole reason. And that helps me. That's my go-to usually.
Good. Any other advice you have for maybe onboarding people or people in the industry that, are facing some of those bigger challenges, whether they be, behaviors, burnout, transition into other, roles and programs? What advice do you have for them?
Don't be scared. Number one, for anybody onboarding into the industry, it is scary. It's an unknown. It is something that it's a daunting task sometimes. Don't be scared. There's a whole team built to help support everything that you're doing. So don't be scared. If you're in the industry and you're kind of going through those tough times, remember your why, recenter, find that why. Take that elevated view of everything. A lot of times our host homes almost feel like they're on an island. They're not. Call your manager, reconnect with everybody. There are host homes that I meet through MANT trainings and things, which is, I love that. I'm able to kind of pour that into them. Like, you are part of this bigger team. You're never going it alone.
Yeah.
So just remembering that, and reach out to us. That's what we're here for. My email is listed there on the website. I have host homes reach out to me sometimes like, hey, you taught my MANT class. I'm seeing this behavior. I'm always happy to answer those questions. It doesn't bother me a bit. Yeah.
Which I think makes our team very unique, that everybody is willing to jump in and help, regardless of what their role is and what program they're in. They're there to help and be a support in whatever that looks like.
Yeah. Get out of the weeds. That's the biggest thing. You get lost in the weeds sometimes. It's hard to get out. And so take that aerial view, get out of those weeds, take the aerial view, really look at the big picture of things. And that behavior that you thought was, life altering, like the worst thing ever, it probably isn't that bad. You're probably tying a lot of emotion into it, or a lot of little things build up to a bigger thing. So let's try to curb some of the smaller things that way they're not blowing up.
Big things,
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining me today. I appreciate your time and just all the advice that you have for everyone, that comes into Restoring Hope.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.